who once again is providing the service of providing music for us this evening for the town meeting, which he does for free. Your stage members for tonight's meeting are the following. On your far right, I'd like to especially notice Kathleen Sheridan. Kathleen, as you know, has served as a member of your board for 3 years and has chosen not to seek re-election. We want to thank Kathleen for her service and wish her well whatever she chooses to do in the future. Thank you, Kathleen. Member Bill Conley, Mary Rose Dickout, and also this is his first town meeting since being elected last spring. Would certainly like to welcome David Sargent. Congratulations on your victory, David, last spring, and welcome to your first town meeting as a member. Chairman of the board, Jim LeBlanc, Town Administrator Michael Ward, and your town solicitor is Bob Gibbons. On your far side is clerk stenographer Julie Kilbride. Also like to mention the Finance Committee, which sits over here on this side over here. Chairman Jim Tumolo, Barry Whitney, Bill McGrail, Pat Bonsi, Mark Elworthy, and Bob Latini. We thank them for their efforts every year as well. All questions, comments, or discussion should be directed to the moderator. I will redirect that to the appropriate person for a response. Please state your name and address before speaking. No personalities in your remarks, and try to keep the discussion to the article under discussion. The only votes that will count during hand counts are for people who are seated in the hall. So if you are standing now, you need to find a seat because only seated people their hands will be recognized on votes. The only people in the hall right now should be registered voters in the town of Clinton or people who have been given permission by myself to observe the proceedings from the visitor section in the back of the balcony. You are all given I'm going to check the color here, all given a pink card when you checked in. When you go to vote tonight, you should put that card in your hand. We'll be looking for the card in your hand to count the vote. You'll also notice there's some numbers on that. We will use that if there's a ballot vote, and at the moment none are scheduled, but if there's a ballot vote, you would come up forward, the number 1 would be checked with a punch, and you would receive your ballot. This will save the time-consuming effort in past ballots of re-registering. You've all registered already, and this system that the town clerk has initiated should save a lot of time. All proposed amendments should be presented to me in writing. Unless I hear an objection, I will dispense with a formal reading of the warrant, as you should all have copies in front of you now. And with that, we can start with Article 1.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to receive the reports of the town officers.
Second.
Article number 1 have been made and seconded. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 2.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to fix the salaries and compensation of all elective officials of the town as provided by Chapter 41, Section 108 of the Mass General Law as amended, said salaries and compensation to be effective from July 1st, 2011 to June 30th of 2012, and to raise and appropriate a sum of money therefore.
Second.
Article number 2 have been made and seconded, dealing with the salaries of elected officials in the town of Clinton. Annual article. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all signify now in favor. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 3.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate from the current tax levy the sum of $33,132,422 and to transfer and appropriate from overlay surplus the sum of $47,000 and to appropriate and transfer the sum of $24,420 and to raise and appropriate the sum of $353,374 from the Ambulance Enterprise Fund and to appropriate from the Ambulance Enterprise Fund retained earnings the sum of $32,154 and to appropriate and transfer the sum of $84,130 and raise and appropriate the sum of $2,543,320 from the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund, and to appropriate and transfer the sum of $29,400 and raise and appropriate the sum of $424,903 from the Rubbish Enterprise Fund, said sums to be used to defray town charges from July 1st, 2011 to June 30th, 2012, as those charges appear in the Finance Committee report of recommendations.
Second.
Article number 3 have been made and seconded dealing with the annual town budget for the fiscal year that begins July 1st. Just so that you understand, the override issue that's before you will come up in Article 4. This is for the annual budget without any inclusion of an override. Mr. Tumalo.
Jim Tumalo, 32 Pondview Drive, member of your Finance Committee. Anybody that's followed the budget in the newspaper or at the meetings realize what a tough budget year it's been. For the last 4 years, we've had decreases in revenue and increases in expenses, decreases in local aid. I mean, just this year alone, our pension and health insurance went up over $500,000. It's our job to present a balanced budget. We can't over-borrow, we can't print money, we have to balance it. So I know you know this, but this budget is approved by the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen. We believe it's the best use of the funds that are available, and I respectfully ask you approve the budget without any changes. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go through the budget department by department. We'll go through the budget department by department. If you have any questions as we're going by that department, raise your hand, you'll be recognized. I will have a catch-all at the end. If you want to speak to something we've already gone by, at the end you will be able to go back to that. You all find the budget, starts at the first page, 114 moderator. 122 is Board of Selectmen. Finance Committee. Town Accountant. Board of Assessors. Town Treasurer. Tax Collector. Parking Fines Administrator. Next page. Town Solicitor. Town Clerk. Conservation Commission. Planning Board. Zoning Board. Montechusett Planning Commission. Economic Development Office. Town Hall Custodian. Insurance and Miscellaneous. Next page. Police Department. Fire Department. Next page. Building Inspector. Gas and Plumbing Inspectors. Sealer of Weights and Measures. Electrical Inspector. Emergency Management. Dog Officer. School Department. Department of Public Works. Broken down by department. Next page. Cemetery Department. Board of Health. Council on Aging. Veterans Services. Bigelow Public Library. Parks and Rec. Fuller Field Commission. Pensions. And there's some other issues below it. Then you have the enterprise budgets on the next page. There's the ambulance, water and sewer, the rubbish enterprise fund, and then a overall summary on the last page of the 36 million involved in this budget. Questions, comments, or discussion? Anybody want to go back to something or that we've discussed in this budget? Sir.
John Martin, 28 Orange Street. Mr. Moderator, on the second to the last page of the Finance Committee report...
John, could you just move up a little bit?
I'm sorry. On the second to the last page of the Finance Committee report, there's a Proposition 2.5 increase of $424,678. Am I right in assuming that if we pass this Article 3, that real estate taxes are...
I'm sorry,
I didn't mean to make you drop something. Am I right to assume that our real estate taxes are going up by $424,687 by the passing of this article?
Where are you, John?
Second page from the back.
What category?
We're in income. Stand by.
Sources of funding? Okay.
We're under sources of funding, local property taxes, Proposition 2.5 increase, $424,678.
Yeah, that's the allotment that Prop 2.5 allows.
Right, and that is going to be an increase to our tax bills.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or discussion under Article 3? There being none, we'll take a vote at this time. All those in favor of Article 3 as written in your warrant, please signify by raising your card now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed, needed a majority vote. Obviously, it was passed. We move on to Article 4.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $600,000, said sum to be used to supplement the school department budget for the fiscal year 2012, contingent upon passage of a Proposition 2.5 referendum question.
Second.
Article number 4 has been made and seconded. This is what many of you have all heard about, the $600,000 override, so to speak. Let me just make sure you understand what happens here. You are voting tonight on whether or not to appropriate the money. And if you vote no, then it's not appropriated and cannot be spent, regardless of what you do on next Monday. No matter how the vote comes out tonight, you will still vote on this on the ballot, townwide ballot next Monday night on the town election. The election on Monday of next week would put the money in the budget to be spent, but doesn't necessarily allow it to be spent. It's a town meeting that allows it to be spent by appropriation. Now that I've probably thoroughly confused you, does everybody understand the process? Anybody who does not understand the process? Okay. If you vote, regardless of how you vote tonight, you will still vote on the override question, and it will be a valid question next Monday. If you vote yes tonight, and it also passes next Monday on the ballot override, then the override has passed and it's done. If you vote no next Monday, it's finished. If you vote yes tonight and no at the override, on the ballot override next Monday, the money would be appropriated but not available for expenditure because you didn't pass the override on next Monday. The more critical vote is next Monday, not tonight. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So I guess the bottom line, if you're in favor of the override, you vote yes tonight. If you're not in favor of the override, you vote no, and then see where it goes. I can see a lot of blank faces. Mr. Gibbons is going to try this. Go ahead, Bob.
It's essentially a two-step process. You have to have the override vote. Okay. It's essentially a two-step process. You have to have the override vote and the appropriation vote. It doesn't matter which order they go in. Just so happens, since our town meeting is before the ballot, tonight we're voting the appropriation. If you were to vote the appropriation down tonight, like Mr. Hogan said, the vote next Monday would still go forward. If it passed during the ballot, we could then have another special town meeting prior to September 15th and vote the appropriation. So it's just a two-step process. Doesn't matter the order. So tonight, if you vote thumbs up and then it passes the ballot, it's a done deal. If you were to vote no tonight, the ballot still goes forward next Monday. All that means is the money's there, but since town meeting has not appropriated it, we would then have to appropriate it sometime before September 15th with a special town meeting. So it's just a two-step process. Tonight happens to be the first step. I don't know if that clarifies it, but that's how it works.
Any further questions on procedure? Let's stay with that for a minute. Very good. All right, we've already put Article 4 in play, so now we're under, it's been made and seconded. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Sir.
John Martin, 28 Orange Street. Mr. Moderator, the town's commitment to the school district has not wavered one penny. I invite your attention to the 5th page of the Finance Committee report that shows that the schools received $17,383,480 in 2011 and are on track to get the same amount of money from the town this year. The town has not cut the school's budget. What has happened is the stimulus funds, grants, and aid that the school district has been receiving from federal and state governments and their agencies have been cut or eliminated. It is the state and the federal government and their agencies who have reduced or eliminated their support for Clinton school kids, not the Clinton taxpayers. The town's taxpayers are now required to pick up the slack left by the state and federal governments and their agencies. We have no choice. We are going to pay for this shortfall one way or the other. We, as the taxpayers of Clinton, will pay either through an increase in property taxes or a reduction in services. As it stands now, we are being given only two choices by the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. One, pay for it all through an increase in property tax, or two, pay for it all through a reduction in services in the school department. I, however, prefer to think of this shortfall not as a school shortfall, but as a town shortfall. Let me explain. I will propose that half the shortfall be paid for by an increase in real estate taxes, and that the other half be paid by accepting a reduction in services, not just at the school department, but town-wide, thereby having all of Clinton and its departments invest in the future of our children. Here's how I propose it be done. The taxpayers accept a $300,000 Proposition 2.5 override. The taxpayers accept a reduction in services from each of the town departments in proportion to each department's share of town expenses as shown in the Finance Committee report. Now, I believe that we have some town expenses over which we have little to no control, those being insurance and miscellaneous. I'd love to know what was in miscellaneous, but I don't, but I'll take it off the table for now. Pensions, retirement board appropriations, debt principal and interest, short-term borrowing, Medicare payroll taxes, unemployment compensation payroll taxes, workers' compensation payroll tax, and health insurance. All these would be eliminated from the following calculation. Add up the remaining town departments' line items as shown in the Finance Committee report and divide each department's total by the total of all departments' amounts to determine what percentage of the $300,000 remaining shortfall will be taken from that department's allocation. For example, excluding the aforementioned expenses, the town department's expenses total $25,572,210. Using the Parks and Rec Department as an example, their line items total $172,689. Dividing $25,572,210 into $172,689 equals approximately 0.7%. Multiplying 0.7% by 300,000, the remaining shortfall, yields approximately $2,108. This amount would be taken from Parks and Rec and given to the schools. In this way, the taxpayers would pay for this part of the shortfall by accepting reduced services from Parks and Rec. How to apply this reduction would be at the discretion of the department and the town finance committee. This computation is designed to determine the total reduction, not how the reduction is to be achieved at the specific department. The school department would not escape this methodology. They would also share the pain. Their expenses, based on the finance committee report, are approximately 7.74% of the town department expenses. Their share of the pain would be approximately $212,233. So they would not get all $600,000 they are looking for, but would get approximately $387,767 more than the $17,383,480 in the finance committee report. Again, the taxpayers would be paying for part of the shortfall by accepting reduced services from the school department as well. Police and fire, the next biggest line items, would lose approximately $30,000 and $18,000 respectively. DPW would lose approximately $7,000. Again, we have to accept a reduction in services. Now, I'm absolutely certain that the department heads, the committee and board members, finance committee members, the board of selectmen, and interested parties will leap to their feet and tell us that it can't be done, and it shouldn't be done for a variety of reasons. Could be illegal, immoral, or fattening. I suggest that we ignore them and vote to share the pain. I think that the pro-override and anti-override folks will both hate this proposal, and that's why I think it just might have a chance. It's a sensible proposal to help the town and all of its taxpayers in these difficult economic times. Mr. Moderator, I move that we change Article 4 to read as follows, and I will give you a copy. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000, said sum to be used to supplement the school department budget for fiscal year 2012, and by amending Article 3 of this warrant, transfer an additional sum of $87,767 from the town departments, the amounts transferred to be taken from each department line item at the discretion of each department head and the town's finance committee, as shown in the chart below, to the school department budget for fiscal year 2012. Both the raising and appropriating and amendment of Article 3 described herein will be contingent upon the passage of a Proposition 2.5 referendum question. From the moderator's account, we would take $2. From the Board of Selectmen, we would take $2,152. From the Finance Committee, $877. From the Town Accountant, $1,042. From the Board of Assessors, $1,836. From the Town Treasurer, $1,434. From the Tax Collector, $1,449. From the Parking Fines Department, $11. From the Town Solicitor, $1,101. From the Town Clerk, $1,579. From the Conservation Commission, $18. From the Planning Board, $23. From the Zoning Board, $13. From the Montechusett Planning Commission, $48. From the Economic Development Department, $79. Town Hall Custodian, $1,394. From the Police Department, $30,236. From the Fire Department, $18,689. From the Building Inspector, $1,204. From the Gas and Plumbing Inspectors, $2. From the Sealer of Weights and Measures, $89. From the Electrical Inspector, $230. From Emergency Management, $24. From the Dog Officer, $125. From the Department of Public Works, $7,032. From the Cemetery Department, $2,548. From the Board of Health, $1,592. From the Council on Aging, $1,841. From the Department of Veteran Services, $3,277. From the Bigelow Public Library, $3,589. From Parks and Rec, $2,108. From the Fuller Field Commission, $377. From the Commission on Disability, $8. From the Cable Advisory Commission, $6. From the Personnel Board, $9. From the Historical Commission, $12. From the Weeks Fund Treasurer's Salary, $2. From Memorial and Veterans Day, $61. From recycling expenses, $366. And from streetlights, $1,282. I apologize for the length of this motion.
Second to the motion. Okay. All right, let me explain something here on this before we go to four. I know you don't have copies of this, so I'll try and what this motion would attempt to do is to change the 600,000 to 300,000 for the appropriation in Article 4, and also take $87,767 from town departments listed in Article 3, was under the miscellaneous. Is that what you were referring to? All right, here's the problem. We've already voted on Article 3. So in order to do this, we would have to reopen Article 3. Go ahead.
John Martin, 28 Orange Street. I'll invite your attention to Title 7, Chapter 34, Section 33B of Mass General Laws. Paragraph B, a town may, by majority vote at any meeting duly held, transfer any amount previously appropriated to any other use authorized by law. Town solicitor can verify that.
Yeah, can I? John, don't run away here. Let me see. We need to see that. Okay. We've passed Article 3, and you can't just change Article 3 per se like that. If you were going to amend Article 3, it would have been done when we were back on Article 3, and that wasn't done. You can't just take that's why we have town meetings, sir, and that's why we pass budgets with specific line items. So it's not really, I mean, what you're saying is to their discretion, but there's nothing this meeting could do that could make the Finance Committee or do any of this stuff. So we just can't direct them to do that. We don't have that authority. So I don't know.
You can motion to reopen the discussion on Article. You've got two motions here. First of all, you can motion to try to reopen Article 3 to make your transfer as the $87,000 under Article 3. Then you'd have to have a separate motion on Article 4 to reduce the amount of the contingent appropriation from $600,000 to $300,000. That's consistent. Reopening Article 3 is consistent with this statute. The town has already voted on that. Now you've got to reopen that article if you want to go back to that article and amend it. You can put that before the town right now. If that gets voted to reopen it, you can then make your proposal.
Wait a minute. Be careful how you word this, because we're in the middle of Article 4 now.
We've got to deal with Article 4.
Yeah, we got to deal with 4. Then we'll allow you to reconsider Article 3. Okay, so
John, you should put your motion on for Article 4. We're talking Article 4 now. If you want a motion to reduce Article 4 from 600 to 300, you should make that motion, which should be and then seek a second.
John Martin, 28 Orange Street. I move to amend Article 4 from $600,000 to $300,000.
okay, and you're withdrawing the motion that you made previously.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that is seconded. Okay, so the motion before you then is to change the $600,000 that's written in your warrant, change that number to $300,000. It is the petitioner's intention then, if you vote to approve that, to go back to Article 3, if you allow it, and to reduce $767 from various town departments at a level of about 2%. Am I correct? As you have it worded in this paper that you gave me. Okay, so the motion before you is whether to lower the $600,000 in Article 4 to change it to $300,000. Is there any questions on or comments on that one motion? Sir.
Terrence Zingano, 26 Front Street, and I'm the superintendent of schools. I'm a little confused now myself. I thought I had this perfect, but anyway. I want to talk a little bit about the override since I guess I'm the one that caused all this mess. Very, very quickly, and I do want to be brief, I want to go back to the beginning of the budget season. This is only my second budget. As you know, I was appointed superintendent of schools a year and a half ago, so this is only my second budget. I would love to be in a town and in a school district that when budget time comes around, it's time to think about exciting new things and new programs and hiring maybe some more teachers to lower class size and things like that. But instead, that's not my job, unfortunately. I don't get to do that. What happens is, step one is always, who am I going to cut and what programs are we going to lose? And that's how I go into it, unfortunately. And that's how we've gone into it for like the last 5 years. If the fact is known, we needed an override probably 4 or 5 years ago. So there are some people probably in this hall tonight who think that, I don't know, I or the school committee did not cut our budget or refused to cut our budget. And that is simply not true. You need to know that through the help of my administrators, we immediately cut out of our budget $327,000. That is gone. The positions, one high school social studies teacher, gone. 2 middle school teachers, 1 ELL math teacher, and 1 special ed teacher. The retirement of a custodian at the elementary school that we won't rehire. I usually have a couple of college kids help us out with summer work, mowing the lawns and stuff. We get a lot of community use of our fields. Didn't bother hiring them this year. 5 paraprofessionals, all of them from the Clinton Elementary School. We have 2 sports at the Clinton Middle School, soccer, boys and girls, track, boys and girls. We've already cut. That is not coming back. Retirements, and this is the killer, retirements that we are not filling. A guidance counselor at the Clinton Middle School, all right? That means that from this point forward, we will have 1 guidance counselor at the Clinton Middle School for 720 students, 720 needy students. There'll be 1 less social studies teacher at Clinton High School. This is beside the one I already mentioned. A grade 2 teacher will not be replaced, and a Title I reading teacher will not be replaced, along with some other smaller cuts. That adds up to $327,000. The school department was cut 3% in 2008, and at that time, obviously the difference, what we could do was with grant money. That's what it's all about. Between the special ed department and my office, we bring in $2.3 million a year, and that saves us every year. Nationally, stimulus money that came out, 70% of it was used for salaries and benefits. That's what people use it for. That's what it was meant for new positions, expanded positions, or to save jobs. And that's what we did here in Clinton. Mr. Gaw did it before me, and I'm doing that now. We're desperately trying to save jobs because in education, jobs mean services. That's what it's all about. We don't have any teachers sitting around doing absolutely nothing. They're servicing kids. And when you take a teacher away, those services are either gone or cut back, and that creates a problem. And some of those services are mandated. I don't think the discourse has been very good over this. I know this is a highly emotional issue, overrides. No one wants their taxes raised. I understand that. I don't either. But there comes a time when we have to do the right thing. We've done it for our seniors. I think a lot of people talk about the seniors and their new senior center. I'm not going to be there. I probably will never be there. But the idea is I think it was the right thing to do to support our seniors. I see a fractioning now in this town that I don't like. I don't know what's happening. It used to be more of a community where you all dig into your pockets a little bit more, and I know that's difficult, to make it a better community. It doesn't matter if maybe you're a senior and we're talking about money for kids, or you have children and the senior citizens are looking for money. The idea is, where do you want to be in this town 5 years from now? I don't know what's going to happen. Yes, we need some time to improve, whether it's our roads or our schools or everything. But we've been cut back since 2008. Again, it was 3% in 2008, and then level funded ever since. And we've made up the difference with grant money, so we don't have to ask the town for money. Well, guess what? The party is over. We've reached that point where we now need money to make ends meet. All right? It's $900,000, and I certainly appreciate the amount of work that John must have put into his amendment and his figuring. But in reality, we needed $900,000 to really bring us back to 2008. Now, I ask you, have your costs increased in your own home since 2008? Does gas cost more for your car? Does it cost more to run your homes? Well, guess what? The price of textbooks and gases for our truck and all those other things that take place when you're trying to run a school and educate 2,000 kids. It's a difficult thing to do. I think what I'm hoping is that we will all do the right thing tonight. I know it's not easy. It never is. But please support the override, not only tonight, but on Monday as well. Thank you very much.
All right. Still under discussion, try and keep your discussion under the amendment from 6 to 300,000. I understand it's hard and they're very intertwined, but.
I am Phil Duffy, 260 Church Street. Speaking to the amendment, I have to express some admiration for the amount of work that Mr. Martin put into his calculations. But I have to say as well that I think it's kind of stupefyingly arbitrary. We have a process outlined by bylaw. The Finance Committee, the Town Administrator, the department has been following that process 4 months to produce the budget they have put before you. I appreciate the calculus to come in via Deus Ex Machina and say we're arbitrary. We're going to reduce every department by this number without any consideration to the consequence is, quite frankly, outside the process that has been followed under bylaw to produce a budget. So I urge everyone to vote no on the amendment. Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening, John Woodsmall, 17 James Street. I first would like to ask everybody to vote no on this amendment. I believe that the override is necessary, and I certainly appreciate Mr. Martin's recognition that the override is necessary, but this override is needed for the full $600,000 amount, not just a $300,000 amount. I also don't believe that we should be causing further reductions in the town services to help fund this override. I think this town as a whole needs to look at what the level of services that its citizens expect to get from it. If you look at the roads, if you look at the equipment that our DPW workers use, the fire trucks that are falling out of repair, this town has a lot of issues. We have low services we have services, but that level of services is decreasing every year as we go through this budget process. And as we look at the schools, I think everybody needs to make a decision about how they feel about the community. The community, this town has supported itself, has shown as a town that embraces everyone. We've protected our seniors by voting in for the senior center. We've protected the tax base several years ago when we purchased Rauscher Farm with the recognition that putting up 65 single-family homes up there was just going to kill the school system and kill the tax base. This is an investment in our children. And while things could have been done differently in the past, and things might need to be done differently going forward in the future, our kids only get to be first graders or third graders or freshmen in high school once. And to hold them responsible for the sins of their parents, I don't think it's fair to them, and I don't think it speaks well of us as a community. So I'd ask you to defeat this amendment, vote the full override of $600,000, and then please support it at the polls next Monday. Thank you.
Sir. Okay, motion has been made and seconded to move the amendment to Article 4. So what you're voting now, first of all those in favor of ending debate and voting on the amendment to Article 4 right now. You're not voting on the amendment, you're voting on whether to cut off debate. All in favor of cutting off debate, indicate now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. Okay, that is passed, and we will now vote on the amendment to Article 4, which is to take the $600,000 figure that is in your warrant and lower it to $300,000. All those in favor of lowering it to $300,000 indicate by raising your hand now, please, your card. Thank you. And opposed? Okay, the amendment is defeated. We now go back to Article 4 as written. It still remains as written in your warrant. Sir.
Robert Epstein, 353 Church Street. The president of the class of 2012 wrote a letter to the item, which I just wanted to read a little bit of because we were talking about reduced services. And I think the thing to keep in mind, and my only point tonight is going to be that we're really talking about children. It's a lot of money. I know taxes, nobody wants taxes to go up, but the reality is that we're delivering services to children, and behind all this is that's the thing to think about, is just this is for the children. It's not really going to deliver a service you and I are going to use. It's for their future and for the town's future. So this was a nice letter by Brett Gannon. As a student at Clinton High School, I've seen firsthand what budget cuts have done to our schools. Supplies are low, money is not being spent updating technology, class sizes are getting larger, and programs that would most certainly attract school choice children or keep children from leaving are no longer in existence. And I'll skip ahead. I have siblings in every school in town, and I would like them to be able to receive the same level of education I have been fortunate enough to receive. Access to a good education is not a privilege, it's a right, and no one should have to travel to Bolton or Marlborough to get it. So, obviously, the school committee has been talking about the budget for quite a long time. We talk to Mr. Ngano all the time, and he has literally redone the budget countless times. But today I was talking to him, and we talk about reduced services, and I'll just read you a couple. I took, just by choice, the 04-05 budget, and I was looking at how much money we spend at the schools. When you look at a big budget like that, you think, wow, we're spending a lot of money. The reality is the children, the money that actually delivers a direct service, if we don't talk about salaries of the teachers, textbooks, things like that, it's a very small part of the budget. It's true in every town. So in 04-05, we spent about $12,000 on our library, and that would include new books, subscriptions, things like that. This year's budget across the 3 schools is $500. I think what we don't see is how these reductions actually affect the students. So under the miscellaneous line for the buildings, which covers anything from toilet paper to textbooks, workbooks, things like that, in 04-05 we spent about $375,000. This year for the 3 schools we're spending $192,000. Now, teaching isn't the highest paid profession in the world, and we do, I think, reward our teachers as best we can, and they do a great job. But I want you to know the teachers make up for that money. Those teachers bring in supplies. Those kids aren't going to do without. You go to the elementary school and they need craft paper. The teachers constantly spend their own money. They shouldn't have to, but they do. They do a great job. It's invisible, but that's what they do for us. Amongst other services we've reduced and have disappeared, but I think affect the quality of education. We have no late bus. Well, the late bus is a great thing for a child to stay after and see a teacher and be able to get home the other side of town. We don't have that late bus anymore. Our librarian, one of the positions we're going to support with this override, we didn't have a librarian. We had a paraprofessional in there for about 4 years. We were on the verge of losing accreditation for the high school. Trust me, you don't want to lose accreditation for the high school. And we got a librarian last year, a media specialist, and she's just starting to lay the foundation to turn that media center around. And I think it's essential for the services we provide our children that we keep that librarian position, and that would be funded with this override. Last but not least, another thing that has been eroded, because again, I look at it almost like Swiss cheese. We used to teach foreign languages starting in the 4th grade. Well, it's moved up steadily. Now it starts in the 7th grade. It's not visible, but you can see that the quality, there's been erosion and it's almost like pitting. And I'd like to see that stop. I think that some people said this is like a Band-Aid, but it's an essential Band-Aid, and I think we need to do this for the children. So thank you very much.
Any further? Sir.
Mr. Moderator, I move to close off debate and vote on the question. What's that? Motion to move the question.
Okay, we have a motion to move move Article 4. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Okay, you're voting now on whether to end debate on Article 4 as written in your warrant. All in favor of ending debate, signify with your card. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The motion is carried. We will now vote on Article 4 as written in your warrant. All those in favor of Article 4 as written in your warrant, signify by raising your hand, your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article
Mr.
5.
Moderator, I move to reconsider Article 4.
Motion has been made to reconsider Article 4. Made and seconded. If you vote yes, we will reconsider Article 4. If you vote no, there will be no further action on Article 4 during this meeting, which you have already voted to pass. All those in favor of reconsidering the article indicate now, please. And opposed? Thank you. There'll be no further discussion on Article 4 during this meeting.
Mr. Moderator,
Sir.
I move to reconsider Article 3.
Motion has been
Second.
made to reconsider Article 3. Is there a second
Second.
to that motion? There is a second. Article 3 being your budget that you passed earlier. If you vote yes, you will reconsider the budget and open it back up. If you vote no, you will leave it passed as you voted on before, and there'll be no further discussion on that article during this meeting. All those in favor of reconsidering Article 3 indicate with your card now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The motion is carried, and there'll be no further discussion on Article 3 during this meeting as well. We will now proceed to Article 5.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the town treasurer and the town collector to enter into a compensating balance agreement for fiscal year 2012 pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 53F of the Mass General Law as amended.
Second.
Article number 5 have been made and seconded, dealing an annual article requiring the town treasurer and town collector to put monies they collect for you in interest-bearing accounts. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none. All in favor, signify with your card now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 6.
Article 6. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,800, said sum to be expended for social services in accordance with programs as approved by the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Article number 6 have been made and seconded, dealing the sum of $4,800 for social services as deemed appropriate by the Board of Selectmen. This article bears Finance Committee approval. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 6? There being none, all in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 7.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000, said sum to be expended as the town of Clinton's share to the Wachusett Health Education Action Team, WE Incorporated, which committee is a delegate agency of the Montechusett Opportunity Council.
Second.
Article number 7 have been made and seconded, dealing with a sum of $15,000 to be expended as Clinton share towards wheat. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Finance Committee approved. All those in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article number 8.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,513.40, said sum to be expended by the Board of Selectmen for the following unpaid bills, and as listed in your warrant.
Second.
Article number 8 having been made and seconded, dealing with the sum of $5,513.40 for unpaid bills from a previous year. By statute, unpaid bill articles require a 8/10 vote for passage. This article is approved by your Finance Committee. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor of the article, raise your card now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 9.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to borrow the sum of $30,000, said sum to be expended by the police chief for the purchase of one new police cruiser.
Second.
Article number 9 have been made and seconded, dealing with borrowing the sum of $30,000 to buy one new police cruiser. Finance Committee approved. Questions, comments, discussion under the article? There being none, all in favor, please indicate at this time with your card. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article number 10.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to borrow the sum of $47,444, said sum to be expended by the Board of Assessors to defray the costs of performing the state-mandated property reevaluation for fiscal year 2012.
Second.
Article number 10 have been made and seconded, borrowing $47,444 for the 3-year revaluation of town property conducted under the Board of Assessors. Finance Committee approved, requires a 2/3 vote for passage because it's a borrowing article. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please raise your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article number 11.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to borrow the sum of $35,000, said sum to be expended by the police chief for an upgrade of the computer system at the Clinton Police Station.
Second.
Article number 11, dealing with an upgrade in the computer system for the police department for the sum of $35,000. Finance Committee approved, a borrowing article requiring a 2/3 vote. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor signify with your card now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 12.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to borrow the sum of $12,250, said sum to be expended by the fire chief for the purchase of a thermal imaging equipment for the Clinton Fire Department.
Second.
Article number 12, dealing with a sum of $12,250, borrowing to provide thermal imaging equipment for the Clinton Fire Department. Finance Committee approved, requires a 2/3 vote for passage. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 13.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to borrow the sum of $6,400, said sum to be expended by the Parks and Recreation Commission for the purchase of a new zero-turn 44-inch lawnmower.
Second.
Article number 13 have been made and seconded, dealing with $6,400 for a new lawnmower for the Parks and Rec Department. Also a borrowing article requiring a 2/3 vote. Finance Committee approved. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, all in favor, please signify with your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article number 14.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $285,000. Said sum is appropriated for the purposes of financing the development of a stormwater management plan, including without limitation all costs thereof as defined in Section 1 of Chapter 29C of the General Laws, as most recently amended by Statute 1998, Chapter 78, that to meet this appropriation, the town treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow $285,000 and issue bonds or notes therefore under the Chapter 44 of the General Laws and/or Chapter 29C of the General Laws as most recently amended by Statute 1998, Chapter 78. And you can read the rest of it as it's written on your warrant because I can't keep talking.
Second.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will admit, this is probably the most confusing article I've seen in 25 years. And I'd love to try and explain it to you, but is Mr. McGowan here? Thank you.
Chris McGowan, 36 Pondview Drive, DPW Superintendent. This is just an additional borrowing article similar to the ones we just voted on. It's wording that's required by the state. We're borrowing this money out of the state revolving fund, which is very low interest loans for different types of work. This happens to be for a stormwater prevention permit. It's basically a permit that allows us to discharge our stormwater into the rivers and streams. They're changing the regulations, and a new permit is being issued that's going to be quite costly for years to come. This would basically get us started with a plan. It would allow us to map all of our drainage system, which is a requirement of the new permit, and basically get us through the first year or so of this new permit. Then we'll have to find a way to fund the rest of it on a yearly basis. But these are upfront costs that are not going to be continuing year in and year out. They're just to get this plan underway. So it's an article to borrow to get us in compliance with the EPA's new regulations.
Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Sir.
John Woodsmall, 17 James Street. I'm going to take off my override hat for a minute. I'm the town engineer for another local town, and I'm dealing with this similar thing at work. And I just wanted to point out to people that this is one of those unfunded mandates that we hear all the time about. The town that I work for, roughly similar size and infrastructure, over the next 5 years, we're looking at having to spend $1.7 to $2.7 million to meet the requirements of this permit. That's probably going to be somewhat similar to what the state and federal government is going to expect us as a town to fund on this type of project. So when you hear about state and federal mandates and that they're unfunded, this is a clear example of that. And I'd ask you to contact your state representatives and your state senators and your governor and your U.S. representatives and so on and so forth, and tell them to stop this nonsense. This is crazy what they're sticking on the backs of us. That's all. Please vote in favor of it. Thank you.
Okay, so this is article funding, article number 14. I know this talks about the DEP, which is state, but it's really the EPA from Washington that's forcing this hand. Okay, any further questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, this is a borrowing article, requires a 2/3 vote for passage, and is Finance Committee approved. All those in favor of the article, please raise your card now, please. Thank you, and opposed? Thank you, the article is passed. Article number 15.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Sections 27 and 28 of Chapter 131 of the Acts of 2010, entitled Supplemental Pension Allowance to Surviving Spouses of Disabled Employees, to increase to the annual cap for survivor benefits to $9,000 per year.
Second.
Article number 15 have been made and seconded. Finance Committee approved. The present cap, just so that you know, is $6,000 per year. This would increase it to $9,000 for surviving widows, surviving spouses. Finance Committee approved, and it pertains to one particular person at this point in time. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 16.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws for the purpose of facilitating compliance with Mass General Law, Chapter 43D, its 180-day deadline on the issuance of permitting decisions and town meetings acceptance of the same for the designated priority development sites as follows. I will dispense with reading the items there as they are outlined in your warrant.
Second.
Article number 16 have been made and seconded, dealing with a priority development site, which my understanding is would give the town 6 months to act on a proposal once all applications were submitted. Questions, comments, it's kind of a speed-up process for projects. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, requires a zoning article change, 2/3 vote for passage. All those in favor, please signify now with your card. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article number 17.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws to update the floodplain district for the purpose of facilitating compliance with new flood maps drafted by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, as follows, and I will dispense with reading the rest of the article as written in your warrant.
Second.
Article number 17, also dealing with zoning bylaws for a floodplain district in regards to FEMA and mapping that out. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? All those in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Now if we could move on to Article 20, it seems to go along with 17. I take that out of order. Article 20.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the administrative bylaws for the purpose of facilitating compliance with Mass General Law, Chapter 43D, its 180-day deadline on the issuance of permitting decisions and town meetings acceptance of the same for the designated priority development sites, PDS, as follows, and I will dispense with reading the list.
Second.
Article number 20. Actually, this goes with the priority development site that was the previous article. And it correlates with that. Any questions, comments, or discussion under this administrative bylaw change? Requires a majority vote for passage. All those in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Back to Article 18.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the zoning bylaws as follows. And you can read the items in your warrant.
Second.
Article number 18 have been made and seconded. What this article encompasses is just there are certain people that have to sign off on special permits. Up until this time, the Director of Economic and Community Development has not been one of those people. And this article would change that to include those people in any project, special permitting project that was going forward. Zoning bylaw change requiring a 2/3 vote. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, all those in favor, please signify with your card now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 19. Oh. Motion to table.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion to table Article 19.
Second.
Motion has been made to table Article 19. My understanding is that there were certain things that this article is really not ready for town meeting, and they've decided to pull it, review it, and maybe present it next year. All those in favor of tabling the article, please indicate now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is tabled. Article 21.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, Section 22B, subsections B to K, as amend relative to the regulation and processing of abandoned motor vehicles on public property or private property of another.
Second.
Article number 21, dealing with abandoned motor vehicles on public property or private property, accepting a state statute on that. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please raise your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 22.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 31, Section 58A, as amended, pertaining to the maximum age of hire for public safety personnel.
Second.
Article number 22 have been made and seconded, and what this deals with is the police and fire department. Right now, there is no maximum age by which a firefighter or police officer can be hired. This would set the age that they had to be less than 32 when they first, I believe it's take the test. Am I right, Chief? To get on the certification list. So they have to be less than 32. If they're 32 or older, at that point, they could no longer apply for one of those positions. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Sir.
John Connors, 172 East Street, Clinton. Good evening, fellow Clinton residents. I'm asking that you vote no on Article 22. This warrant puts a maximum age of 32 for new police hires and fire hires. This greatly cuts down on the number of candidates, mature candidates, that are over the age of 32, and it really puts the town at a disadvantage to look at, another 10 or 15 years of people that would be available for the town to choose to be hired as a firefighter or police officer. Also, there are certain conditions that are set by the state. The person or persons or person would have to pass a written test first, a PEAT test, which is a physical agility test, and if they pass those two and they're selected for hire, they have to go to either a police or a firefighting academy, and I'm not sure how long the firefighting academy is, but the police is 23 weeks. And if they're not able to do the physical standards in that, they don't pass. So there are, catches to prevent somebody that's not physically able or qualified to do the job. The other issue is we've been fighting a war in Iraq and Afghanistan for 10 years. There is a provision in 58A which allows people serving to get a maximum of 4 years added to the age of 32, which would bring them to 36. And it's still not enough because there are still many qualified candidates that have been fighting for the past 10 years that when they come home, when the war's finally over, why should we take this opportunity away from them not to be a firefighter or police officer in this wonderful town of Clinton, which I've had the privilege of being a resident for 15 years. I have great respect for the police and fire departments, but I disagree with the fire chief on this, and I would ask that you all vote no on this amendment so the town has a greater pool of people to choose from. Thank you very much.
Still in a discussion of the article. Chief?
Richard Hart, 16 Belmont Ave. I am the fire chief. This gentleman was accurate. He did describe pretty well on the entry exams and qualifications that these candidates go through. But the firefighting EMT job is a young person's job. Normally when we hire a candidate, we're hiring them for the next 30 years, or 32 if you want maximum benefits. So we hire somebody at 32, they're going to be carrying stretchers down 3 flights of stairs at 64. That's the end of the career that gets tough for us. That's why the state has authorized this 32-year-old cap in legislation so that we could approve it. I really got to ask you to support this. It is a young man's career. The older we get, the more injuries we seem to have and all, and I really think that it's younger people that we're looking for. Thank you. I ask you to vote yes.
Any further questions, comments, or discussion under Article 22? Sir.
Tony Rago, Lancaster Road. I'm also a police officer in another town. I disagree with this situation. I believe in Mr. Connors, what he believes in. If a person is fit to do the job, he should be allowed to do the position. A 32-year-old max age is discrimination, in my thoughts. I believe in Mr. Connors, exactly what he said, and my thoughts are the same thing. Do not discriminate because of the age of a person. If he's fit to do the job, let him do the job. Police officer, firefighter, EMT, it don't matter. There should be no maximum age for someone to do a job. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, it requires a majority vote for passage. All those in favor of Article 22, to keep the age below 32. All those in favor of the article indicate with your card now, please. And opposed? Thank you. The article is defeated. Article 23.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 111M, as amended, pertaining to the payment of lost wages for emergency medical technicians.
Second.
Article number 23 having been made and seconded. Chief, would you just give a brief explanation on this one, because this is...
Recently, we've engaged a third-party claims administrator for our injured on duty claims. We had a little question with them over EMT doing ambulance work, whether he's covered under the fire injured on duty. So they were looking at workman's comp. These two sections of law specifically cover EMTs to give them the same protection as the firefighters, just to remove any doubt on it. M is for the wages and N is for the medical expenses incurred in a line of duty injury. Once again, I'd have to ask approval of both articles. Thank you.
Any further discussion under Article 23? Requires a majority vote for passage. There being none. All those in favor, please signify by raising your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 24.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 111N, as amended, pertaining to the emergency medical technician medical bills to be paid outside of workers' compensation.
Second.
Okay, Article number 24. I believe this correlates with 23. Am I right, Chief? Okay. It's basically the same idea. It's just being stated. Go ahead.
As I indicated, the first part deals with the wages, continuity of wages while they're out injured. N is actually equivalent to Chapter 41, Section 100, which covers the medical expenses. So I'm asking to cover the medical expenses of the EMTs that may be injured doing EMT work.
Okay. Apparently 23 was wages, 24 is is benefits that go with it. Any further questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please signify with your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 25.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 25, voter petition to see if the town will vote to accept the private way known as Brendan Road as a public way in the town of Clinton.
Second.
Article number 25 have been made and seconded. Dealing accepted the street as Brendan Road as a public way in the town of Clinton. All of the next 5 articles deal with streets that are up in what is called the Nathan Heights area. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 25? There being none. All those in favor, please raise your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 26.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 26, voter petition to see if the town will vote to accept the private ways known as Craig Drive as a public way in the town of Clinton or act in any manner related thereto.
Second.
Article number 26 have been made and seconded, dealing with Craig Drive in the same neighborhood. Questions, comments, or discussion? Sir.
Rob Davidson, 4 Pheasant Lane. I just had a question. Where are all these places?
Up in the Nathan Heights area. Nathan Drive. Am I right?
Yeah.
Off Woodruff Road.
Off Woodruff
Off
Road.
of JFK, off Woodruff Road.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or discussion under Article 26? There being none, we'll take a vote at this time. All those in favor, please indicate now with your card. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 27.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 27, voter petition to see if the town will vote to accept the private way known as Eileen Avenue as a public way in the town of Clinton, or act in any manner related thereto.
Second.
Article number 27 have been made and seconded dealing with Eileen Ave to be accepted as a public way in Clinton. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please raise your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 28.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 28, voter petition to see if the town will vote to accept the private way known as Gorham Avenue as a public way in the town of Clinton, or act in any manner related thereto.
Second.
Article number 28 have been made and seconded dealing with Gorham Avenue in the same section of town. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please signify by raising your card now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 29.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to approve Article 29, voter petition to see if the town will vote to accept the private way known as Megan Circle as a public way in the town of Clinton, or act in any manner related thereto.
Second.
Article number 29 have been made and seconded dealing with Megan Way for a acceptance of a public way in Clinton. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor, please signify now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed.
I'll accept a motion to adjourn. Mr.
Second.
Moderator, I accept a motion.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and good night.
I was actually surprised. I wasn't. I thought it was fast. It didn't pass by that much. Now I'm on it.
Sure.
Sorry. I wasn't trying to play.